Hi, it's Belinda from Belinda's Book Nook. Maybe I should be introducing myself. It's been a minute. I really don't know how the time went by so fast, but I wanted to check in. I kind of got into the perfectionist mode. So one, I hadn't finished a book from last month from the Blind TBR. I'm still working on it and I have just a little more left on it. And I am editing some other videos that I had for you. But then I was like, okay, I can't make another video till I, put these up. So what's going to happen? I didn't want to keep waiting because we're moving into May and I'm getting in the mood for my next, lineup of books. And I didn't want to keep waiting. But what will happen is you're going to see me now. And then you're going to see those other videos. So don't go, what? They might seem a little out of order because I just don't want to not. I did a lot of that last year. Like I recorded videos and because that perfectionist side was like, well, it's not in chronological order or this and that, I didn't show them. So I don't want to do that. I did some footage. I just got to finish editing them and I'm going to get them up. This is going to be an easier one because this one is just, I decided I like the idea. I was watching some videos of shopping their bookshelves. It's kind of like my blind TBR, but that I am not going to be surprised. I know exactly what I'm getting. And so what I did is, as you see, I picked some books and those books are the ones that I was thinking of, I kind of like, in the mood to read right now. But I was listening to somebody else talk about this and they were saying, it's TBRs, but like really just jinx you. It's like, as soon as I see something's a TBR or this, when I read this month, it kind of just X's out several of those books will never get read in time, and it puts a lot of pressure. So I just wanted to go like I was at the bookstore and look at my bookshelves again and pick some more books of the books that I have, of the many books, and see if there's something that I feel that I'm in the mood to read this month and see if that will help me. I am still going to continue on with my blind TBR. As soon as I finish that one, I'll get another one, but I don't want to skip and pick another one until I finish that book that I'm reading. How are you? I mean, let me stop and say that. I mean, it's been a while and we really haven't, I realized later that I could have just posted up that I'm still alive. It's one of those crazy things when you're on BookTube and you follow people and then they disappear and you're like, well, what happened to them? So I've just been reading, relaxing, doing a lot of things, running around, and just didn't get a chance. Like I said, I keep starting to edit those other videos and I just haven't done it. So I apologize for that. But let's look at these books that I pulled from the shelf that I'm feeling right at this moment that I would like. If I was to sit down, these are the ones that I'm thinking about I would like to read. And we're back on the water, allergies are popping up again. So we have Elizabeth Acevedo. I just love her books. I have every book that I've read of hers I really enjoyed. I like how she writes. I like the stories, obviously, but I just like how she writes, but I really like how she usually, the stories will span 2 different countries. So it will be the United States, maybe Puerto Rico, or maybe this one, I think it's in, where is it? Oh, let's just read it. I think it says Santo Domingo and New York City. I think it goes back, and also she does a good job of like bringing you into the past to understand what's going on now, and kind of going back and forth in time. So I'm going to go fast so that I don't take a long time. I realize my videos are way too long. Flora has a gift. She can predict to the day when someone will die. So when she decides she wants a living wake, a party to bring her family and community together to celebrate the long life she's led, her sister's a surprise. Has Flora foreseen her own death or someone else's? Does she have more other motives? She refuses to tell her sisters, Matilda, Pastora, and Camilla. But Flora isn't the only person with secrets. Her sisters are hiding things too. And the next generation, cousins Ona and Yadi, face tumult of their own. Spanning the 3 days, only 3 days to the wake, family lore traces the lives of each of the Marte women, weaving together the past and present, Santo Domingo and New York City, told with Acevedo's inimitable and incandescent voice. This is an indelible portrait of sisters and cousins, aunts and nieces, one family's journey through their history, helping them better navigate all that is to come. So even the description sounds great. It's going to be a fast read. That's why I feel like I want things that are a little more upbeat and fast read, because I have read some things that I have not, and I also looked at my shelves, and I do have a lot of heavy material. So we're going to try to liven it up. I need to lighten up my life now. That said, one of the other ones that I pulled from the shelf was the Davenports by Crystal Marquise, or Marquis. And this one has been out for a while. There's already a second and I think a third book coming out. This one, the reason why I found it interesting or was gravitated toward it, I believe it is a young adult, I think. But what I gravitated to it is because it talks about the period in 1910, and it talks about very wealthy Black family. And it's something that is, this is a bit of historical fiction in that there were families that did have money, and there were people of color that were successful, but we don't really always get those stories. We get a lot of slave stories, slave narratives, and hardships. And it's important to, have the variety in your reading repertoire. So I also like this because it kind of reminded me a little bit of like the Bridgerton, because they are very, foo-foo in here. It says, it's in 1910, the Davenports are one of the few Black families of immense wealth and status in a changing United States. Their fortune made through the entrepreneurship of William Davenport, a formerly enslaved man who founded the Davenport Carriage Company years ago. Now the Davenports live surrounded by servants, crystal chandeliers, and endless parties, finding their way and finding love, even where they're not supposed to. And it follows the daughters, Olivia, Helen, Amy Rose, which is I think is a childhood friend, turned maid, sorry, and Ruby, which is Olivia's best friend. And so I think this is the first, and how many? It doesn't say this is in the series. I think there's definitely a third one. I believe that's coming out this year. So if I like this, then I'm gonna, keep on the bandwagon and get the other ones. But I love the cover, and that one just sounds very easy too, and light, and just kind of, you can read this at night and just, you probably won't fall asleep and you won't cry yourself to sleep. So there's that. This one I talked to you guys about before. It's one of my more in the last few months purchases, I guess. And it's a debut author. It's Victoria Lloyd Barlow. It's All the Little Bird Hearts, a literary fiction. I liked it because I heard her interview and I heard the description of the story, and I knew I had to read it, and just felt really drawn to the story. And I'll read a little bit about it, but it's written by the author is autistic female, and it's written about an autistic female. And I think that's just something that's kind of lacking in the literature. So I'm really excited to read this. And she was very specific in mentioning that this is just this is the story she's telling, but it's not all, because we know there is a spectrum. And so for people to read this and not think that they know everything about people that have autism. But this one says, Sunday Forest does things more carefully than most people. I'm losing the light. I can see. I hope you can see me. Sunday Forest does things more carefully than most people. On certain days, she must eat only white food. She drinks only carbonated beverages. She avoids clocks. It is 1988, before autism was widely diagnosed. Sunday has an old etiquette handbook that guides her through confusing social situations, and to escape, she turns to her treasury of Sicilian folklore. The one thing very much out of control is Dolly, her clever, headstrong teenage daughter, now on the cusp of leaving their home in the Lake District of England. When the glamorous Vita and Rollo move in next door, the couple disarms Sunday with their charm and proceed to deliciously break just about every rule in Sunday's book. Soon they are spending loads of time together, and Sunday feels acknowledged like never before. But beneath Vita and Rollo's allure lies something else, something darker. For Sunday has precisely what Vita has always wanted for herself, a daughter of her own. And it's a page-turning psychological drama. It's an extraordinary, often witty glimpse into the mind of an autistic woman, and a remarkable debut by an author who herself is autistic. Doesn't that sound so good? This one I picked up because I feel like, for the reasons I had just stated, but I just feel like I'm going to be drawn into the story. Like, I could see me, like, reading and like, oh, and then it's time to make dinner, and I'm like, no, I'm going to just read one more chapter. Like, I think that that's what I feel like this is going to be. And I'm really excited for this author. And I hope that she'll continue to make more books, because I think this is definitely filling a void. This one, I feel like I talk about Elif Shafak every year. I've got several of her other books. This is her latest book, and I still haven't read any of them. Why? I don't know. But this is The Island of Missing Trees by Elif Shafak, and I just want to read it. I want to read it. I want to read it. It's two teenagers, a Greek Cypriot and a Turkish Cypriot, is that how you say it? Meet at a taverna on the island they both call home. In the taverna, hidden beneath garlands of garlic, chili, peppers, and creeping honeysuckle, Costas and Define, no, not Define, Daphne? Interesting spelling. Daphne grow in their forbidden love for each other. A fig tree stretches through a cavity in the roof, and this tree bears witness to their hushed, happy meetings and eventually to their silent, serendipitous departures. The tree is there when war breaks out, when the capital is reduced to ashes and rubble, and when the teenagers vanish. Decades later, Costas returns. He is a botanist looking for native species, but really he's searching for a lost love. Years later, a ficus carica grows in the back garden of a house in London where Ada Kazantzakis lives. This tree is her only connection to an island she has never visited, her only connection to her family's troubled history and her complex identity as she seeks to untangle the years of secrets to find her place in this world. A moving, beautiful, written, and delicately constructed story. I say delicious because all the stuff they were saying in the beginning. Constructed story of love, division, transcendence, history, and eco-consciousness. The Island of Missing Trees is Elif Shafak's best work yet. Sounds good. I think it's going to be beautiful writing. Without reading, I feel like that's what it's going to be for me, like just beautiful writing. Like, I'm like, oh, that's what I'm expecting. Okay, the next one I've had for a while too, and this is an older book, and I just want to read it, and I feel like this is, again, I'm looking for books that will just draw me in and just escapism, kind of. And this is The Lamplighters. It's it's a true story about these light keepers that vanished. And it says it's New Year's Eve in 1972, and a boat pulls up to the Maiden Rock Lighthouse with relief for the keepers. But when the entrance door, locked from the inside, is battered down, the tower is empty. A table is laid for a meal not eaten. The principal keeper's weather log describes a storm raging around the tower, but the skies have been clear and the clocks have all stopped at 8:45. 2 decades later, the keeper's wives are visited by a writer determined to find the truth about the men's disappearance. Can their secrets ever be recovered from the waves? What mystery there? True story, based on true story. Okay. And then there's 2 more books. This one is my autobi author, Thridi Umrigar, I think that's how you say her name. Oh my God, I love her writing. So I want to read this one. This one sounds really good. This is Indian American journalist Smita has returned to India to cover a story, but reluctantly, long ago, she and her family left the country with no intention of ever coming back. As she follows the case of Meena, a Hindu woman attacked by members of her own village and her own family for marrying a Muslim man, Smita comes face to face with a society where tradition carries more weight than one's own heart in a story that threatens to unearth the painful secrets of Smita's own past. While Mita's fate hangs in the balance, Smita tries in every way she can to right the scales. She also finds herself increasingly drawn to Mohan, an Indian man she meets while on assignment. But the dual love stories of honor are different as cultures of Meena and Smita themselves. Smita really realizes she has the freedom to enter into a casual affair, knowing she can decide later how much it means to her. In this tender and evocative novel about love, hope, familial devotion, betrayal, and sacrifice, Thriti Umrigar shows us two courageous women trying to navigate how to be true to their homelands and themselves at the same time. This is going to be good. The last one I read from her was, I think, The Space Between Us. Isn't that what it's called? And the thing that I love about her is that, hold on a second. The thing that I love about her is that she's got a large backlist. So I will be reading her for a while. And she's even written picture books. I did not know that. But The Secrets Between Us was the other one I read. And ooh. Or maybe it was the safe. No. It was this. Look, she has two that are very similar. The Space Between Us. I think it was The Space Between Us that I read, not The Secrets Between Us. It's interesting. Okay. So this is Honor. And this is the one. So my very last book is a new one. And it isn't now. It can still qualify because it's been on my shelf since it came in. It was a pre-order. Okay, so I did not buy this to put on this list, but this is on my shelf because it came in this month. No, it came in last month. Last month, I believe. And it's Alyssa Cole's new book, One of Us Knows, and it's a thriller. So definitely want to read this because I just feel like I'm in a mood for a thriller. And when I said that, I feel like I discovered that I do like thrillers too. Years after a breakdown and a diagnosis of dissociative identity disorder derailed her historical preservationist career, Kenetria Nash and her alters have been given a second chance they can't refuse, a position as a resident caretaker of a historic home. Having been dominant for years, Ken has no idea what led them to this isolated Hudson River island, but she's determined not to ruin their opportunity. Then a surprise visit from the home's conservationist trust, just as a nor'easter bears down on the island, disrupts her newfound life, leaving Ken trapped with a group of possibly dangerous strangers, including the man who brought her life tumbling down years earlier. When he turns up dead, Ken is the prime suspect. Caught in a web of secrets and in a race against time, Ken and her alters must band together to prove their innocence and discover the truth of Kavanaugh Island and their own past, or they risk losing not only their future, but their life. She always does really good, like, historical fictions as well. And in the last one, she wrote Always So Much Loved was, please say it says it in here. Where is it? What is the other one's called? And I read it. It was really good. And so I was like, oh, I want to read this because she doesn't really, this is like her first, like foray into thrillers. Or second. I can't see it on here either. Oh, I think it's When No One Is Watching. That's what it was called. It was really good. Really, really good. And so it did it dealt a little bit with gentrification and a little bit of history in the demographics and in New York. It was really good. That was really good. So this one I think will be very interesting. I hope she does sprinkle some stuff in here with this. But another one that I think will just kind of keep me engaged. So these are the books. Now, listen, you know me, right? Anybody's watched more than 2 videos of mine, you only need to watch 2 and you know the secret. I read slow, okay? And so there's no way I'm going to read all these. But the mood that I am in, these are very appealing. So some of these books will get read. We also realize we're later in May. So a clean cut end of May finish, Not going to happen. Not going to apologize. Going to finish when we finish. But these are the books that I'm looking at for May. I have not started any. I'm still finishing up that other book, but I think I'm going to overlap with whatever my new one is. And I'm looking. What are you thinking? Did you read it? Did you read it? Read it? Did you read any of these? This is, like I said, an older book. Been out there for a while. This one, you know, people that follow her are rating it and have read it. Amazing author. Please read her. This one just, I think, is going to be great. I really have high hopes for this one. And this one, I think, is going to be just like, you know, a little Bridgerton goodness that's in a book form, you know. So there's lots of options here. So I just can't wait. I want to hear right down below what you guys are reading. I need to know what new books are out that you that are come out in the last few months that you are excited about. And if you've read any of these, you know, which one would you start with? Which would you start with? Look at those, okay? I'll give you the looks again, and you can always rewind, but look and see and let me know what you would start with. I don't know. My mood is not even telling me that. I might just read a page or two in the beginning of each of them and then say which one is pulling me right away, and then just go there like that and just go into it. So anyway, happy reading, and I'm back, and I can't wait to talk to you again next week. Bye.